to another rousing edition of The Lap Down. I am your host, Greg Farmer, and with me tonight is Jamie and Will. How are we doing tonight, boys?
Doing good, man.
We're all right.
That's good. Before we get started, as always, a big shout out to Will and the Alkali Project for the intro and outro music on the show. So we're going to have kind of a little shorter episode tonight, as there was not a whole lot of off track news the last few days. So we're actually just going to jump right into our recap from the weekend. Um, the Xfinity Series and Cup Series raced at Kansas Speedway this past weekend. On Saturday, Brandon Jones got his second win of the season in the Joe Gibbs Racing number 20 for I believe this was the second to last race in this current round for the Xfinity Series, and their cutoff is the Roval this weekend, I believe. And looking at the Xfinity Series standings for the playoffs, you have, Jones locked in. Connor Zilic is essentially locked into the next round on points, as well as Justin Allgaier and maybe Sam Mayer. And then you have Taylor Gray, Sheldon Creed, Carson Kvapil, and Jesse Love above the cut line. And then below the cut line is Nick Sanchez, Austin Hill, Harrison Burton, and Sammy Smith. So, as we kind of talked about last week, Jamie, out of those drivers right there on that cut line, who do you think is eliminated after the Roval for the Xfinity Series?
Um, when it comes to the Xfinity, it's important. As much as I like uh, Sam Smith, he does not have the road course experience, and he's had some promise throughout the season. Hence why he's still in the in the top 12. But I think he is definitely not going to make it. Harrison Burton is a sneaky one. I think he's got some experience, and if he does, then um, that could put. I think Jesse Love's going to do well. Carson or Sheldon Creed would probably be the two guys who are on the inside that could fall outside. I don't know. I just got a sneaky suspicion between those two, and if I was a betting man, I'd probably say Sheldon Creed would probably be the out. Um, the lone forward in the top eight. Uh, I just haven't seen much from him as a road course racer, and I think out of the ones outside looking in, Austin Hill will probably be the one that could sneak in.
Well, it's kind of interesting. The drivers below the cut line. Well, the cut line's really only separated by 14 points if you're
Mm-hmm.
looking at the playoff standings. So I mean, it's a pretty tight battle going into the Roval. Um, Will, what about you? What do you think?
I don't watch the Xfinity series enough to know.
No, okay. Looks like we got Eli in here. Eli, what do you think?
I kind of fall towards the category of Will. I don't really know a whole lot about the Xfinity series. I go to enough events that I should, but I kind of have to agree with Jamie in a way. I think Austin Hill could definitely sneak his way in for sure. The ones that are currently safe that I think could fall, Sheldon Creed's definitely one of those. I'm not sold on his road course abilities. I From a betting perspective, I think Nick Sanchez will do really great this weekend. I'm hoping he does. That's where my money is. But other than that, the Roval is the most, I think, diverse track in the playoffs. So much can happen in any of the series. It doesn't matter. So it's hard to take, I guess, from that perspective. But I would say Sheldon Creed is the one to watch that is currently safe. I don't see him advancing. That's just me, but
Yeah. Quick question, because we don't really talk about like betting lines too much on here, which I think is something that we probably should look into a little bit more. That would probably help out. What is it about Nick Sanchez that's got you putting your money on him?
so when I bet two ways. I bet strategically, and then I bet that I have money that I need to burn, so I'm going to burn it, and that's how I bet it this time. Last year, we all remember that the 48, I believe it was the 48, got screwed for a caution light. It was the caution. Does anybody know what I'm talking about, or am I just
I know.
The Parker Kligerman.
I remember.
Yeah, Park. Yeah. So I just saw that 48 when I opened up my FanDuel, and I saw a $50 bonus bet, and I said, "Well, by my God, that's where my money's going." If you're actually wanting to bet from a strategic standpoint, you'd be stupid not to bet on Connor Zilic. You could make the argument for a few others, but if you're betting smart, no, I mean Connor Zilic is 100% the way to go.
Appreciate that, man.
Yeah. Actually, I like Jamie's idea. Eli, kind of seem like you're the betting man here. So if you want to join us on future episodes to discuss betting lines for the upcoming races and stuff, you are more
Oh,
than
absolutely. Yeah, I have tons of data compiled I would be glad to share with. Of course, I'm not encouraging anybody to place their money where they don't have it, but always bet
Gamble
responsibly.
responsibly.
Absolutely.
welcome. Yeah, I wish I could gamble responsibly down here in Georgia, but it's illegal. So I can't do anything here.
That's a
No
no.
DraftKings for you.
Nope. I can't do nothing. I've tried. But yeah, I didn't watch the Xfinity Series race on Saturday. I was busy doing extracurricular activities. So we're just going to go ahead and transition into Sunday for the Cup Series race. Denny Hamlin dominated the race, led over 150 laps, if I'm not mistaken, and about midway through the race ended up losing his power steering, and then had a pit stop late in the race that shuffled him back to about seventh position. Now, mind you, he has a different tire changer and jackman for these next couple of weeks due to his penalty from Bristol. So the first green, white, checkered setup, it was Bubba Wallace and was it Christopher Bell on the front row?
Christopher Bell. Yeah.
Yeah. Bubba Wallace, Christopher Bell. And they go sailing off into turn 3, and then a massive crash happens that saw Zane Smith get up on the wall in the 38 car and end up rolling a couple of times down the turn 4 bank into the grass, which continues the streak of these drivers finding the weirdest ways to flip these cars.
Facts.
And then on the ensuing restart, you had Toyota 1 through 5. You had Bubba Wallace, Christopher Bell, Chase Briscoe, and Tyler Reddick. And coming off of turn 4, coming to the white flag, Bubba Wallace washed up the track and looked like he got into Bell, but I'm not sure from the angles that I saw if they actually made contact, but Bell did bounce off the safer barrier. And then going into turn 3, Denny Hamlin had a bonsai move going into turn 3, washed up the track with his no power steering, doored Bubba Wallace, which put Wallace in the fence, and then Chase Elliott was able to squeak by on the inside and pull out the win for Hendrick Motorsports. Basically, Toyota kind of folded there in the last 2 or 3 laps of the race. Starting with Jamie, looks like we got JP in here now. But starting with Jamie, I know you said before we went on air that you didn't actually watch the race, but you did see the extended highlights. What do you make from the race overall? Granted, back in the spring, it wasn't that good of a race, but then this time around, we saw what many thought was a really good race.
Yeah. From looking at the extended highlights and seeing the key points of the race, it was definitely another strong showing by Toyota. If it wasn't Denny Hamlin, it was Bubba. If it wasn't Bubba, it was Christopher Bell. Some of the Hendrick guys would get there for a little bit, only to get taken over by a Toyota. So it was very apparent to me that Toyota was the class of the day. But no, I mean you've seen exactly what you wanted to see in this playoff race. Especially coming towards it, you see the aggression, you see momentum being a big factor into getting these runs, and I really thought Bubba was going to get it. He pinched Bell up to the wall. They did not touch. I dug into that a little bit. They did not touch, and it's just Christopher Bell ran out of room. So kudos to him for not rubbing on Bubba, but trying to keep a line that shows the racer that Christopher Bell is. But Denny is where I have the issue. Like, yes, I know you're gunning for a win for that bye into the next round, not have to worry about something catastrophic happening at the Roval. But Bubba had every right winning that race. And Denny did not care, as you like, by you saying that he bonsaied it into turn 3 is exactly what he did. He knew better with his power steering issues, and I know they're battling for playoffs and everything like that, but at the same time, that's one of your team drivers that could potentially win and get locked into the playoffs, and you finishing second isn't going to hurt your stock at all. So I think that was just a really dumb move by Denny, which ended up costing him the win.
All right. Well, to add on to that, I actually listened to the latest episode of Action is Detrimental today, and Travis actually asked Denny about that. Now, after the race, I don't know if you saw it on camera, but Bubba Wallace did tell Denny he was number one in the American way, and on the radio called him a quote effing douchebag to the boss, obviously. But Denny talked about it on AD today, or whenever they recorded earlier this week, and he said Monday through Saturday he is the owner of 2311 Racing. On Sunday he is the competitor to 2311 Racing. He said it is not. He said, "quote It is not his priority to make sure those cars get into the playoffs. He's out there trying to vie for a win just as much as they are." And he basically said, quote, "I'm not going to apologize for what I did on Sunday." What do you make of that?
Well, there's why he has a flag that's Denny against the world. We'll just put it that way.
Yeah. Eli, what are your thoughts?
I want to hear Will and Eli.
Okay. I'll give my thoughts on it. I have two different thoughts actually. So if I can have the mic here for just a second, I'll make it as brief as I can. So as far as the race goes, in the finish, I guess we're more or less focusing on the finish here from this aspect. No, he just sent it in. He ran Bubba up, put him in the wall, and Chase was able to come and back into one. I mean, I have been a prolonged Denny Hamlin hater for as long as I can remember. I never liked him when Bush was at Gibbs. I know he was our teammate. Granted, I've never liked him. Something I do like about him more now, though, is his attitude, and that's what 99% of the people hate him for, because he reminds me so much of Kyle Busch. It's just that don't care, do what I want mentality, which I really enjoy. I think the sport really needs more of that. So, in a way, I do appreciate that, and I do love Actions Detrimental. I think it's right up there with the Dale Jr. download. But I think Jamie summed the finish up perfectly. I think you did too, Greg. I don't really have any thoughts on that. What I do have collective thoughts on, though, and it really bugged me. Of course, I had to calm down. It took me till about Monday evening to really form this opinion. Was after the race. Of course, Jeff Gluck. I'm sure, is everybody familiar with Jeff Gluck on here? Okay. Jeff Gluck puts a poll up every day after the race. Was this a good race? Yes or no? And the fact that we still have 9, 10% of people going to sit here and say this is not a good race. That's where I take problem with. What do you want to see out of a good race? You had Golden Boy win the damn thing. You did. You had a crazy finish. You had a car go upside down. You had a car flip upside down in the most peculiar way possible. And yet we're still going to have 10% of the people on here say, no, that's not a good race. Well, then my question to those people is, what do you want? You had Golden Boy back into one, for crying out loud. Your boy won it. And yet we're going to sit here and say that's not a good race. That's what bothers me. That's what bothered me out of the whole weekend. Wasn't the finish. It wasn't Denny. It wasn't his attitude. Had nothing to do with it. It was that people are going to sit here and say, no, that's not a good race. And what do you want? So there's my rant. Will, you're a Bubba Wallace fan, Bubba Wallaroo. So go ahead and give your thoughts on it here.
I
Well,
think Denny.
but before Will goes, I will say I've come to the conclusion over the last year or so that racing fans will never be happy no matter what you do.
Exactly.
Go ahead, Will.
Are you guys forgetting about me?
No, yeah, I see you, buddy.
No, we got you. We'll get to you in a minute.
I think it was a good race. I was a bit worried there in the first stage that Bubba wasn't going to be anywhere near the front, but they got it. They got it fixed up. Uh, I am indeed the rare shiny Bubba Wallace fan. Um, I think Denny did a move that myself, Eli, and JP are going, and Jamie are going to be very familiar with because it's something we've done Thursday night. All of us that race that league have done that Thursday, that move at some point where you just shove it up underneath somebody and wash up the track and put them in the wall.
Oh, there's more than
It
awful.
it happens. I don't have an issue with Denny's response and him standing up for what he did. If Bubba had done the same thing, Bubba would have said the same thing, and Denny would have been calling him the effing douche and saying he made a dumbass move. Uh, Probably in a whinier way because Denny has a way of being whiny when people do things to him. Uh, it it's just racing. It is what it is. I think both of them are correct. It was a dumbass move, and Denny had every right to make it. And he said he's not there to ensure his cars win, and he's not. That's the truth.
I do have a question actually for you, JP. We have not forgot about you, but I do have a question for you there, Will.
Mhm.
So we're sitting right now in the round of 12, and thinking about this, I actually thought about this today. We go back to 2015. We're going to rewind here for just a moment. I'll make it brief, I promise. Matt Kenseth and Joey Logano, we all remember it that year. Joey Logano was going to win that championship that year, and that hurts me to say as a Kyle Busch fan. But the thing that knocked Joey out of it that year was he ran into too many people, and very explicitly one person. But now we go back over the past few weeks, and Denny has had a run in with Gibbs, and now he's had a run in with Bubba. Is there any way, in your opinion, that this could all just boil over and just continue to get worse and worse and worse until we get in a situation maybe like Martinsville? Because if we go back and look at Martinsville last year, Chevys were an absolute pain for Christopher Bell. Is there any way that Gibbs or Bubba just say, you know what, screw it? We are going to make this as hard as possible for Denny. Does that add up? Because I really feel like we're getting to a point now to where Denny is, which I mean, he has to be. You have to be brash and you have to make these decisions to be a championship contender. But he's pushing that ball real hard.
I think it's about the only thing that can cost Denny the championship at this point. Because this year feels different than all the other years he's done well. I think this is his year. Uh, and I know I say that, and everybody listening is going to go, somebody says that every year. Uh, and apparently that somebody is Kermit the Frog, but we'll go with it. Uh, the I don't think Bubba's going to do it unless and I'll get to this later, unless he doesn't make the round of eight. If he doesn't make the round of eight and Denny does something else to him, or rubs him the wrong way, either at the track, because he's not gonna bring something that happens off the track onto it. That would uh, be tantamount to putting your boss in the wall at that point. Gibbs would be the one more likely to do it than Bubba, if it happens at all.
But would you agree, though, to the extent of Denny is starting to piss people off? He's starting to make moves that are really questionable. And I mean, this has happened 2 weeks in a row now. So I don't know who he's going to piss off this week. I really don't. I don't know if I'm supposed to be saying that, but regardless.
It's almost like the host of our host nation, where the only difference is Denny Hamlin has a lot more respect on the track than Carson Hocevar does, but they run the exact same.
It's because
They run
Denny's smart,
hard. They're aggressive, but Denny's smarter than Hocevar is.
and
Um,
that's something I forgot to
and when it
mention.
comes
I
to
think
Gibbs,
Denny is off the track almost never wrong. He's one of my favorite people off the track, but when he gets behind the wheel of that car, he just turns into a different person.
Yeah,
but when
I
it comes
have
to
to agree.
Ty Gibbs, to your point, Eli, it doesn't matter what Sunday it is. That dude's not going to give you any room to get around him. He's always going to drive you hard. He is a very young Ryan Newman.
I'll give you that.
That's what Ty Gibbs is.
Or a very young Jamie. I mean, you kind of do the same thing on Thursday night. Not throwing any shade, but it happens.
Facts. I'll take it. I'll take it.
So,
But thank you for
Alright.
answering the question, boys. I do appreciate that. Okay, go ahead, JP.
That's it. Let's get JP's thoughts. He's been patiently waiting over there.
so I came in late, so we are talking about what now?
We are talking about the overall thoughts of the Cup race on Sunday and your thoughts on the ending of the race with Bubba Wallace, Denny Hamlin, Chase Elliott, all that stuff.
Okay, so honestly, with Chase Elliott winning, I'm happy, but that I really think Denny could have won that race. You know, he was complaining about power skilling, and I think that was just silly to be complaining about power skilling. We don't know what exactly happened to the car to basically say he had power skilling issues, but I really think the contract could have been avoided, and I think deep down Bubba was a little bit more frustrated, but because it was his boss, he didn't show it. Had it been anybody else, like Chase Elliott or someone else, he probably would have showed his frustration a little bit more, in my opinion. I'd love to get your guys' thoughts on that.
So on Actions Detrimental, Denny actually talked about the power steering thing. He said that he noticed it during stage 1 during the caution. He said that he was going to warm up his tires, and you know how they swerve to the left and then swerve to the right. He said when he went to the right, his wheel would get stuck, and so he had to quote he had to be like very, very gentle with the steering wheel from that point on, because he didn't want to either be warming up his tires under caution or be racing and he goes to like correct or something to the right and his wheel got stuck and end up, wrecking someone, or, making contact with someone under caution. So to answer your question there, that's where the power steering stuff came from, JP.
Okay.
Which also, just, I know we're kind of down talking Denny, but it goes to show like just how good he was, because every single restart, even with the power steering issues, like he was just beating the brakes off people on those restarts.
Yep.
Yeah.
And to think, we were talking about it a second ago, the final pit stop, like I said, he had 2 pit crew guys that are not normally on his pit crew, and that pit stop that they did at the end of the race was a 2-tire stop. If he would have had his normal guys and did a 2-tire stop, he would have been miles ahead of the other guys getting off a pit road. He would have been in control of the race and probably would have went on to win. But instead, the Jackman made a mistake, ended up costing him like 5 or 6 positions, and then chaos ensued after that. But 2 questions coming out of Kansas. Question number 1, starting with Jamie. We've seen this 2 weeks in a row now with Denny Hamlin having an issue or a run-in with another driver on track. We've kind of seen it all year, the way he's talked and stuff like that. Do you think that Denny Hamlin is entering his, quote, full villain arc in 2025?
I don't know if he's hitting his full villain arc. I mean, he's definitely making a case with it, with ruffling the feathers around, but this is why I love like the playoffs, because tensions are ramped up, emotions are high, and personalities pop out even more than they would in a normal race. Because during the season, like, yes, you're going to be tamed, yes, you're going to be minding your P's and Q's and stuff like that. But this is playoff time. You're going for broke, race in, race out, doing what you can to advance, and you don't care who's around you. And like even Chase said, like when he was in his post race interview, he said I was just full send and I was committed, and wherever I ended up, and that's the same mentality that Bubba had. That's the same mentality Denny Hamlin had. That's the same mentality Briscoe and Bell, all those guys who were fighting in the top 5. So we're going to see emotions get the better of everybody. And as far as Denny specifically, he's kind of built this villain narrative about him. So I think he's the Joker to the who would you say Batman would be on the Hendrick side? Larson?
Chase Elliott.
Chase Elliott? Okay. So he's the Joker to the Batman. And then you got Joey Logano, who's the Riddler, who just randomly comes out, but it's always a bang when he comes out.
I like that analogy. Eli, what about you?
Yeah, I don't know if he's necessarily hit his villain. The thing is with Denny, I mean, looking at his Cup Series career, I really don't think the Denny Hamlin hatred or dislike started until what, Martinsville 2017? Does that sound right? Anybody go back farther than that?
I mean, I didn't really like Hamlin a whole lot. I mean, I kind of liked him when he first started, and then when we got into the 2010s, I didn't really like him. Other than the incident between him and Logano at Auto Club, and I think it was 2013.
Okay, so yeah.
But after that, it seemed like he was constantly having run-ins with people, getting in fights and stuff like that. So, but yes, you could probably make a case that 2017 Martinsville between him and Chase Elliott was like the groundwork for him becoming like NASCAR's villain alongside Kyle Busch when he was at Gibbs.
I mean, back to the original question. I think a good majority of the people that hate Denny Hamlin, though, or dislike Denny Hamlin, that are not Hendrick fans, of course, if you take Hendrick fans out of it, are the people that just hate Denny Hamlin because the internet says they hate Denny Hamlin, and I fall into that category. It's like Kyle Busch. I mean, I cannot tell you how many times I went to the track. It didn't matter who you were. It didn't matter if your driver had a run in with Kyle Busch. It was always F Kyle Busch, you know? So I don't know, though, if he's really in his villain arc because we've never seen such a, I don't know what the word would be. I guess persona as Denny Hamlin in a way because Kyle Busch, I mean, 95% of the stuff he did, yeah, he deserved the hate. Denny Hamlin, not so much. Um, I will say this, though, and this very much veers off topic, but this is just an opinion. I didn't like Harvick all up until he retired. Um, I really think, though, when Denny Hamlin retires and he's kind of settled down and he falls wherever he falls, whether if it's just his podcast, just being a team owner, being a sports analyst, whatever, I think he will have a lot more respect on his name. But as long as he's behind the wheel of a car, no, I don't think he'll have that respect. So, Will, what's your
Well,
or whoever's
real,
talking?
real quick, it's actually funny that you say that, because like I don't. It's like Will said earlier. I do not like Denny Hamlin the driver, but I love Denny Hamlin the person, like off the track on the podcast and stuff, because he has been quote the voice of everyone who is trying to make change in the sport. And like he's been one of like the front runners of like trying to get, like more horsepower in the cars, and he's not afraid to tell it like it is, especially on his podcast. I mean, he got penalized for something he said on his podcast last season, with between him and Ross Chastain. And you bring up the Harvick thing. I wasn't really a fan of Harvick, but I respect Harvick now. And to make a comparison, when I was a kid growing up and into the 2010s, I loathed Jimmy Johnson. Like I could not stand him. And then in the later years of his career, and now that he's semi-retired, I love him. Like I'm a fan of his, and I don't know where that transition happened, honestly. But
That's very fair.
Will, what you got?
It's because he's in a Toyota. That's the only reason. There's no that's the only reason anybody hates anybody driving one of those Toyotas. Except Chase Briscoe.
What about
There's
Tyler
always
Reddick?
there's no well once Tyler went to 2311, everybody started hating him. It the only person there's always one person driving a Toyota at one particular point in time that everybody likes him. I think it was Tony Stewart before, maybe. Now it's Chase Briscoe. But
Truex.
it it's because it's Toyota. And we all know why people hate Bubba. There's a very obvious reason uh, that the divorced dads and their Oakleys in the Facebook comments don't like him. Uh, yeah, it's because he's Toyota, and the Facebook dads say that they don't like Toyota, and Denny drives a Toyota.
But Bubba's not innocent either, though.
No,
He did throw water in Bowman's face.
that was actually 6-7 years ago now.
And then he beat the door off Kyle Busch at Watkins Glen, but that's a whole different rabbit hole. But
Well,
there's your
well
microphone.
deserved.
so coming from a Bowman fan, the water in the face at the Roval, that was,
Inexcusable. Yeah.
racing contact, stuff like that. I could see why he was upset, which is why I didn't really get pissed at him. I mean, if I was Bubba, I'd probably do the same thing. And the Kyle Busch thing at Watkins Glen, I thought was freaking hilarious, because that was at the time that I absolutely hated Kyle Busch. And I was like, yeah, go Bubba for, spinning him out. But
And if you want to bring up
Speaking,
Las Vegas 2022, I mean, Chase Elliott did the same thing to Denny Hamlin, and that was more recent than what Bubba did to Larson. But nobody's sitting here bringing that up in every comment thread about Chase Elliott.
But no, that's different because okay, I'm not even going down that rabbit hole. That's a different off the mic discussion.
well, speaking of what Will just said about, Bubba Wallace, there is the obvious reason that Bubba Wallace is not liked in the Cup Series. And it's funny that you bring that up because that point was actually proven today. I was listening to Sirius XM Speedway with Dave Moody on my way home from work. And, they open up the phone lines. And one particular caller called in and was blatantly being the R word, trying to keep it PG or G rated here. His question was, and I quote, "Hey, Dave, do you think Bubba Wallace got mad when that old melon man smashed the watermelon on the racetrack?" And Dave's response was golden. He just said, "Nope, next caller." And I'm sorry to go off topic here, but that is the reason why us NASCAR fans are always stereotyped the way we are, and we will never ever have the opportunity to grow because of people like that.
I'd like to point out though that was a big watermelon. I was there for that race. I mean, when he carried that water, I mean that was a huge watermelon. I don't know if he got it at Kroger, Piggly Wiggly, the public. They don't got Publix, North Carolina. That was a good watermelon though. I'm sorry.
That's the kind of watermelon you get on the side of the road.
It was probably one of his own.
It was a good watermelon.
Anyways, JP, what are your thoughts on Denny Hamlin? Is he entering his villain arc?
Unfortunately, I have to say yes. And I hope he doesn't do anything too outrageous the rest of the year. Cause like you guys talked about, he only got a penalty for something he said on his own podcast. So, I mean, yeah, that kind of tells you right now that Denny Hamlin might be one of the, active drivers that might, do something outrageous, which I love the way he is on the aggressive side. But how much is too aggressive? We say every week. How much is too aggressive in NASCAR? And it's Denny Hamlin at that point.
I mean, I don't disagree. Anybody else disagree?
Negative.
All right. So moving on to part 2 of my questions. We kind of talked about it last week, but this is a cutoff race for the Cup Series coming up at the Roval. And Chase Elliott and Ryan Blaney are both locked in to the next round. And then you have Kyle Larson, who is 54 points above the cut line. He might be essentially locked in. He might be locked in after stage 1. Denny Hamlin is plus 48. And then you got Bell, Byron, Briscoe, and Logano. Basically, after last week, the same 4 drivers are still below the cut line. Ross Chastain, Bubba Wallace, Tyler Reddick, Austin Cindric. Austin Cindric is in a must-win. He's negative 48 points. And I guess you could kind of throw Bubba and Tyler in there as a must-win, due to the fact of some of the strategy that plays out at the Roval or on road courses in general. But the cut line is only separated by 13 points between Joey Logano and Ross Chastain. We kind of gave our thoughts on it last week, but I'd love to kind of revisit it briefly. Jamie, are you still sticking with your predictions from last week as who gets eliminated after the Roval, or are you going to change your mind? Muted.
So I had a lot happen at work. You're gonna have to remind me who my predictions were. I know you wrote them down.
I don't think I wrote anybody's down, but I believe you said that the drivers who are below the cut line were going to be the ones to get eliminated.
I mean, with it being the Roval, I will stand on that. The only one that could shock me would be Melon Man, because he just seems to be consistent at the Roval. Not necessarily like fantastic consistent, but if somebody above the cut line that's a Briscoe, Logano, somebody like that, he very well could hoppity skip over one of them and cause one of them to be on the outside looking in, because he's usually a top 15, maybe top 12 consistent driver at the Roval. But I will say, Bubba, he's been competitive. He's kept up that momentum from the end of the season. He did enough to get to this point, and I feel that if he has a solid day, they might use some strategy and try to get one last dance to try to get in. So, but I still stand on my predictions on the bottom four. I think they all will get eliminated, but those are the two out of the four that I'm looking at.
All right. To your point about Bubba Wallace, he has been consistently getting better on the road courses throughout the season. Eli, what about you? And before we go to JP, while you're talking, Eli, give us the betting lines for the Cup Series at the Roval.
So, okay, I'll have to pull up the betting odds here in just a second. But if you're wanting to know about my predictions, I think I see it being a lock. I don't see how it's not. Cindric, he's gone. Hang on. I wonder if I pull up the betting odds. I wonder if it will turn off the podcast. Hang on. We'll try something. Okay, can you hear me now or no?
Yes, we can still hear you, sir.
Okay, cool. All right, no, Cindric, I think he's done. Must win. Don't think he'll win. I think Reddick's done. I don't see unless he wins, which I don't see that happening. I think Bubba's done. I don't see a shot there for him, and I see Ross making it in, and I see Joey coming out. And here's why I say that. Everybody says, well, Joey's clutch playoff time, and if he can make it to Phoenix, he'll win the championship. And I do agree with that. If a Penske driver can make it to Phoenix, they've got it won. There's no one else that can touch Penske at Phoenix. Don't disagree there at all. What I do disagree with, though, is it's not an even number year for Joey. Joey's only won the championship in even numbered years. It ain't his year. So Joey's coming out. Ross is going in, and then I think Ross will, of course, be a roundabout elimination. Your betting odds, let's see. Let me go to, let's see, do we want DraftKings or FanDuel? That's the question of the day.
Let's do FanDuel since that seems to be the sponsor for all of the big podcasts out there.
Okay, perfect. Let's see. NASCAR. Come on, NASCAR. I know you can do it.
Well, while we're waiting on Eli to get that pulled up, JP, what do you think, bud?
So, maybe it's going to gamble. It's going to be Bubba Wallace winning the championship after he makes it out of this round with a win. The drivers that are going to be out are Reddick, um, the one of uh,
Chastain.
Cascade, thank you, and unfortunately, the two of Singlet and Nagano. I just haven't seen any type of speed from Nagano to tell me he's going to win the championship. And like you already said, he wins it when it's an odd year, or yeah,
Even
well,
year.
even year. And this is a odd year, so if history can repeat itself, we are going to have a different champion from last year.
All right. Well, Eli,
got
you
the-
got those betting odds pulled up?
I do. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
All right. So SVG sits at plus 100. Then Seabell at plus 950. Larson plus 1,000. Reddick 1,200. Byron 1,300. AJ 1,400. Chase Elliott 1,500. Busher 1,900. Gibbs at 2,200. And Chase Briscoe at 2,200. The rest of them kind of just get worse from there, but better for your dollar. And then let's see who's the least favored. Graxon. So, if anybody wants to know where somebody's sitting at in the betting odds, just ask me and I can tell you. That might be a little bit easier than to go through this whole list.
All right. That sounds good. So with that, we are going to transition
Oh,
into our.
I
Oh,
do
I'm
have
sorry.
a question.
Go ahead.
So betting odds. If you look at the ones who are on below the cut line, which one has a better betting odd?
Okay, do you mean better as in like a more favored shot to advance or like more money you could
Correct.
win? Okay.
Better shot.
Better shot to win. Okay, that would be from the looks of it, it may be it's Tyler Reddick plus 1,200.
Plus 1,200. So that's where the money is. If you want to have a good shot at winning.
Or hear me out. It's a long shot, but I think it could happen. Place. I think the AJ Allmendinger carries more value there. That's just me. Plus 1,400. Take it to the bank.
All right.
You know what? I'm gonna do it. We'll see how it goes.
All right. Well, we are going to transition now into our green flags and black flags segment. I'm sorry. And for our new listeners who have never heard this podcast before, green flags is something during the race weekend that we liked, and black flags is something that we did not like. And we will kick it off with Jamie.
Green flag. I mean, like I said, it's I didn't get to watch most of it, but just from looking at the highlights, I could definitely say that this was an entertaining race. Um, I love the aggression that we're seeing. Again, that's why I love playoff racing, because everything's out the window. You're doing what you need to do to win, and you don't care who's around. You're going to do what you need to do. Black flag is going to be the Jackman for Denny Hamlin. If they did not have that issue on that pit stop, he very well would have ran away with this thing, and we'd be having a completely different conversation today. So that's my black flag.
All right. What you got, Eli?
I think your green flag for overall race weekend was racing was solid. I don't think you could have asked for much of a better race. I really enjoyed it compared to the spring race. The spring race put me to sleep. It literally put me to sleep. So I would say racing was great. TV broadcast was great. Overall, great weekend. Black flag. It's so hard to pick a black flag on a race weekend like this because everything seems so great. And I hate to be the one to nitpick everything, but truthfully, I would say it had nothing to do with anything on the track. It would be the way that the fans conducted themselves after the race. It was, you can't please everybody. And this is one of the few weeks I don't have much criticism for NASCAR. And the overall race and the overall broadcast, it was great. And yet people are still upset about it. So to those people, I ask the same question: what do you want?
All right. JP, what about you?
So my green flag has to go to that finish we saw on Sunday. What what a good finish. I know there's going to be some criticism with the finish, but you know, I watched it back. I watched Queso and Sparta calling through it, and I tell you what, he did a masterful job. So quickly, my green flag goes to the Sparta of Case Elliott. Um, and my black flag. Um, you know, you, you we've been nitpicking Jenny Hamlin about this whole this whole episode, but I'm not going there with my black flag. My black flag has to go to uh the fans, like Eli was saying.
All right. Will is back with us. Will, we are in our green flags and black flags. Do you have any for the weekend?
Define each. What do they mean?
Green flag is something that you liked during the race weekend, and black flag is something that you did not like.
Uh, I liked the race. I thought it was a great race. Uh, Even the end of it, that was cool too. Black flag. Uh, I guess to extend to the whole race week. Justin's Hamilton's legacy as a race director now that he's no longer with NASCAR.
All right. So I'm going to start with my black flag. Black flag goes to Toyota in general for just the complete implosion at the end of the race. They had absolute control of the entire race from start to almost finish, and they just gave it away. My green flag goes to uh, someone that we've only talked about once on the show so far, and that would be the 88 of Shane Van Gisbergen for earning his first top 10 on an oval in 2025. We have seen throughout the course of the year that he has been getting better on the ovals, and he finally cracked the top 10 on Sunday. And I think with him, Zilich, and Chastain next year, Trackhouse might be a threat in 2026. But with that, we're going to go into our next segment real quick. It's our preview. They are racing, as we talked, they're racing at the Charlotte Roval this weekend. It is a triple header weekend for Trucks, Xfinity, and Cup. Trucks will be racing the oval or the Roval for the very first time in the series. But we're going to make our picks. And I do have Eli and Will on here. You guys can make picks just for fun. It will not count for points, but you are more than welcome to make a pick. So, with that, the first pick of the night, it goes to me.
What?
So,
Cheater.
I know where the low-hanging fruit is. I absolutely know where the low-hanging fruit is. But I am not going to take the low-hanging fruit. Surprise and shock. I am going to take the driver that has been the most consistent on the Roval for the last 5 years, and that will be the 48 of Alex Bowman. No response. I get it. Next pick goes to Will.
Bubba.
Oh, could you not hear me?
No, I did not hear you.
I was trying to play my soundboard from my phone, but it didn't work.
Oh. All right, so Will picked Bubba. Obvious choice there. Next pick goes to Eli.
Well, from a betting perspective, not what I would bet at all. But look, I've been a Kyle Busch fan for too long, man, and I'm tired of this pain. I'm tired of this drought. Can't take it no more. In fact, I'm really not sure how I'm going to take it anymore, but I take it somehow every week. So that'd be stupid not to pick Kyle Busch, man. I love him too much. I just need to see that. Listen, I'd be happy with a top 15. I'd be happy with a car that's in one piece, but a win, man, I'd call out of work for the next 2 weeks, man. I don't know. Oh, we just need a win.
Well, according to Door Bumper Clear, once Kyle Busch wins a Cup Series race, you can get some with your significant other.
God, I hope it's true. I'll find me I can't say that. I'm going to go on mute.
All right. Next pick goes
There's
to
apps for that.
JP.
All right. We are hopping on history from the 88 of Zane. Ben good. Same begin good. And we're
All right.
hopping on the 88 bandwagon this weekend.
I'm surprised he went fourth in the picks. That's insane. All right. Fifth and final pick of the night goes to
Gee, I wonder who it is.
Jamie.
And you know what? If we're going with the trend of just picking our favorite drivers, I'll go with Chase Elliott.
But that's
All
a good
right.
pick, though.
Well, maybe. Chase Elliott was the king of the road courses in the Gen 6 car. In the Gen 7 car, he has not been so great.
Not so much.
Has he actually won on a road course in the next gen car?
He has not.
Cool fun fact.
His last win at the Roval, I believe, was where he buried it into the tire barrier.
Yeah.
All right. Well, as always, I will get the rest of the picks this week. I'm surprised there's some front runners there who didn't get picked. I was torn between two drivers actually, but before
I
we
almost
close
picked
out,
Ty Gibbs.
that would have been a good pick. I was torn between Bowman and Allmendinger, honestly. But before we close out the show, we are going to go into another rousing edition of Jamie's Trivia. And for those of you who are just now listening, Jamie will ask us a trivia question based on the upcoming race, and we will give an answer. Eli and Will can give an answer. It will not count for points total, though. But if one of me or JP gets the question correctly, we get a point added to our race pick total. If we get the question wrong, Jamie gets the bonus point. And for just for reference, if Eli or Will gets it correct, Jamie will still get the bonus point. So, Jamie, what do you have for us tonight?
Yeah, so out of the 7 races that has been at the Roval Road course, Hendrick Motorsports currently holds 2 out of the top 3, or 3 out of the top 4 most laps led at the Roval. You got Kyle Larson at 122 laps led, Chase Elliott with 109 laps led, and William Byron with 80 laps led. Who is the only other driver in the top 4 that is not a Hendrick Motorsport driver that has led? He currently sits at number 3 specifically.
All right. JP, you got a guess?
Yep. I'm hopping on the bandwagon of AJ Allmendinger.
All right. Eli?
So it's out of the 7. I want to make sure I have this right. Out of the 7 Roval races, top, like, most laps led, it's been all 3 Hendrick drivers, and we're trying to figure out who the 4th driver is that leads the most laps. Did I understand that right?
Yep, and they're not on Hendrick.
Okay. Yikes.
So in the order would go Larson, Elliott, mystery driver, Byron.
God, I have no idea. My mind's went blank because I'm. Okay, yeah, I know I'm taking up time here. Ryan Blaney, I don't know.
All right. Will?
Ty Dillon. I'm not
Wait,
kidding.
do what?
Ty Dillon.
Oh, Ty Dillon. Okay. I'm gonna say Martin Truex Jr.
Well, one of you actually got it right, so I do not get the point this week. The driver who currently sits 3rd among most laps led is AJ Allmendinger.
Wow.
I was on the right team.
So congrats, JP.
All right. Good job,
Had
JP.
89 laps led.
89 laps led. All right. Well, good stuff. Good stuff. All right, JP, I will get your points total updated here shortly. That is going to close our show out tonight. Will and Eli, thank you so much for filling in tonight. It was, a light crowd. Other people had, prior commitments and stuff. We understand. But as always, a big thank you to all of our sponsors, Century PC, Smack and Sunflower Seeds, Sleeves, Bulletproof Coffee. I know I'm forgetting some. Fubo TV, Circle B Diecast. Go to Circle B Diecast to order your latest diecast for the 2025 season. Use promo code LAPDOWN at checkout for $5 off. And as always, a big thank you to Will and the Alkali Project for the music. Please go check out their album and their music. They are doing some great stuff over there. And before
Came
we
out
go,
Tuesday.
What's that?
New one came out Tuesday.
Oh, nice. All right. So new music already released wherever you get your music. And before we go, I know I've plugged some channels and some other people's stuff on here, I would like to plug something myself real quick. The Palmetto Racing League on iRacing is doing some great stuff. I'm a part of that league. We are racing at Kansas this weekend in the Truck Series. Go check out the broadcast on YouTube under the Marconi Broadcast Sports Corporation, and hopefully I can pull out a win. But until next time, I am Greg, and for Jamie, JP, Eli, and Will, this has been the Lap Down, and we will see you guys right after the Roval.